Hello, class. Previously, we explored what fascism and totalitarianism are and why they appealed to many after World War I. Now we will examine how these ideologies took root in specific countries. Let's dive into how the perfect storm of economic hardship, political instability, and nationalism transformed four major powers. Italy emerged from World War I as a victor, but felt cheated by the Treaty of Versailles, which didn't deliver the territorial gains Italians expected. This created what Italians called the mutilated victory. Add to this severe economic problems, and you have a recipe for extremism. Enter Benito Mussolini, a former socialist who saw opportunity in Italy's chaos. By 1919, he had founded the Fasci di Combattimento, or combat groups, attracting war veterans and angry nationalists. His message was simple: Italy needed strength, discipline, and national revival. In 1922, Mussolini ordered his March on Rome, a show of force that intimidated King Victor Emmanuel III into appointing him prime minister. Once in power, Mussolini dismantled Italy's democratic institutions. He created the feared Black Shirts, a paramilitary force that attacked political opponents. By 1925, he had established one-party dictatorship with himself as Il Duce, or the leader. Mussolini's Italy became a fascist state, characterized by intense nationalism, militarism, and the concept of the corporate state, where labor and industry were organized to serve national interests. Though not as extreme as what would follow in Germany, it provided a blueprint for fascism to practice. Germany's path to fascism was paved with humiliation and economic disaster. The Treaty of Versailles imposed harsh penalties, stripping Germany of territory, limiting its military, and demanding massive reparations. Then came hyperinflation in 1923, followed by the Great Depression in 1929. Adolf Hitler, the leader of the National Socialist or Nazi Party, masterfully exploited German resentment. His rhetoric blamed Germany's problems on communists, the Versailles Treaty, and especially Jews. By 1933, political maneuvering and intimidation had secured Hitler's appointment as chancellor. Within months, he had transformed Germany's democracy into a dictatorship. The Reichstag fire gave him the pretext to suspend civil liberties. The Enabling Acts granted him legislative power. He banned all political parties except the Nazis and created the Gestapo and the SS to terrorize opponents. What made Germany particularly horrific was its racial ideology. Hitler believed in creating a pure German racial state through the elimination of inferior peoples. This eventually led to the Holocaust, the systematic murder of 6 million Jews and millions of others deemed undesirable. Hitler's Germany became the most extreme example of totalitarian control, with every aspect of society, from education to arts to scientific research, bent toward the Nazi worldview. Japan's path to totalitarianism was different but equally destructive. After modernizing rapidly in the late 19th century, Japan had developed imperial ambitions and a strong military tradition. Following World War I, Japan experienced significant economic growth, but also increasing militarism. Unlike Italy and Germany, Japan's emperor remained as a symbolic head of state, but real power shifted to military leaders who promoted an ideology of Japanese racial superiority and imperial destiny. By the 1930s, ultra-nationalist military officers had effectively taken control of the government. In 1931, they engineered the invasion of Manchuria in northern China, creating a puppet state called Manchukuo. This was followed by a full-scale invasion of China in 1937, including the infamous Nanjing Massacre, where Japanese troops killed hundreds of thousands of civilians. Japan's government increasingly restricted civil liberties, indoctrinated citizens with emperor worship, and oriented the entire economy toward military production. Their vision of a greater Eastern Asian co-prosperity sphere was really a euphemism for Japanese domination in Asia. The Soviet Union under Joseph Stalin shows that totalitarianism isn't exclusive to fascism. After Lenin's death in 1924, Stalin outmaneuvered his rivals to gain complete control of the Communist Party and the Soviet state. Stalin's totalitarian system featured several key elements. First was his policy of rapid industrialization through 5-year plans that transformed the USSR from an agricultural society to an industrial power at what the heck is wrong with cost. Activization of agriculture, forcing peasants to give up their land and join state-controlled collective farms. When Ukrainian farmers resisted, Stalin's policies caused a devastating famine known as the Holodomor, which killed millions. The most terrifying aspect of Stalin's rule was the Great Purge from 1936 to 1938. Stalin ordered the execution or imprisonment of anyone he perceived as a threat, from the top Communist Party officials to ordinary citizens. His secret police, the NKVD, created a network of labor camps called gulags where millions perished. Stalin's cult of personality reached absurd proportions, with his image and words omnipresent in Soviet life. Through control of media, education, and art, the regime shaped every aspect of citizens' thinking. These four regimes show how different societies fell to totalitarianism through similar patterns: economic crisis, fear of enemies, real or imagined, appeals to nationalism, and the promise of restored greatness. Though they differed in ideology, fascism in Italy and Germany, militarism in Japan, and communism in the USSR all created systems where individuals existed only to serve the state. Thanks so much for joining. These are the citations.